year, cover to cover. It's amazing. We've had over the Bible in a year, cover to cover. It's amazing. We've had over to cover.
I don't think I need to tell her. Yeah. Erika is very shrewd. She's very smart. And she was like, I know everything. And I was like, that's amazing.
Why is everyone suddenly saying that there's an Erika Kirk, Andrew Kolvet affair going down?
Erika Kirk, welcome.
This just turned into the wildest twist in the whole story. And what's being claimed now hits way harder than anything we've heard so far. Multiple sources are saying Erika Kirk was allegedly caught up in an affair with Turning Point spokesman Andrew 𝗘𝗿𝗶𝗸. And it didn't stop while Charlie was still alive. What's being pushed now is even messier. People are claiming the relationship is still going on right now, while Erika is out in public playing the role of the grieving widow, all while allegedly keeping things quiet with the same man who stepped in after Charlie. Leaked texts and pieces from Charlie's show have reportedly surfaced, and they seem to hint that something was going on behind his back. But this situation goes way beyond just personal betrayal, because Candace Owens just stepped in and raised the stakes big time. She's not just talking about an affair. She's hinting at something much more serious. Candace is suggesting that Erika and Andrew may have had prior knowledge of the plot to assassinate Charlie Kirk. And she's not being vague about it either. The flight data and timeline details she's pointing to are specific, documented, and they directly clash with the version of events Erika and Andrew have been telling the public. And once you start looking closely at that flight timeline, that's where everything really starts to fall apart for the official story. The groundwork here matters because this didn't just come out of nowhere. Erika was already exposed in a clear, documented lie about her past relationships before Charlie ever entered the picture. She had claimed she hadn't dated anyone for 5 years before meeting him. But that story completely fell apart once photos and videos surfaced, showing her with multiple men during that exact time frame.
She knows everything. She knows who to trust, who not to. She knows who's going to be the allies in the fights ahead.
So now the conversation has shifted in a serious way. It's no longer about whether Erika can keep up a long-term story about her romantic life. That part has already been proven false. The real question now is how deep that pattern of deception actually goes and who else might be tied into it. And here's where things get even more intense. Insiders connected to Turning Point are now claiming that one of the men Erika was allegedly involved with during her marriage to Charlie is Andrew Kolvet, the same man who is now sitting as co-host of The Charlie Kirk Show and being pushed as one of the main public faces of the entire organization Charlie built from the ground up. That alone raises eyebrows, but when you zoom out and look at everything that's happened since Charlie's death, it starts to feel way more serious. Erika reportedly chose her ex-boyfriend, 𝗘𝗿𝗶𝗸 to take over Charlie's college campus tours. And now, on top of that, claims are surfacing that she may have placed her rumored affair partner right into the co-host seat of Charlie's own show. That's not a small coincidence. That's a pattern people are starting to question hard.
Victim's wife is arriving at 3:30. 𝗘𝗿𝗶𝗸𝗄
But 3:30 is when that pickup is scheduled for. So basically, we can conclusively confirm that Erika did not wait an hour on the tarmac for Andrew's alleged plane to land at about 4:40 p.m., right? 3:30 was the pickup. So this only makes sense if Andrew was aboard Charlie's plane with Erika. Okay?
Because now, the individuals stepping into Charlie's roles, his platforms, his spotlight, are people who allegedly had personal ties to Erika before Charlie was even in the picture. And for a lot of observers, that's becoming harder and harder to brush off as random chance. The situation gets even heavier when you look at where these claims came from. The affair allegations reportedly trace back to a Turning Point insider who took this directly to Candace Owens, claiming that Erika and Andrew were already involved before Charlie's death, and that the relationship has continued since. That same insider also suggested that this connection could explain why Erika and Andrew were reportedly together at Scottsdale Airport at the time Charlie was shot. And that detail right there sits at the center of the biggest, most serious questions people are now asking about what really went down on September 10th. This is where the official story and the documented evidence crash straight into each other and don't line up at all. And once you see the gap, the implications start to look huge. Andrew Vett's public version of that day sounds clean and emotional on the surface. He claimed that after hearing about Charlie's assassination, he flew from Santa Barbara to Provo, Utah, rushing to be by Erika's side in the aftermath. He even described their meeting on the Provo tarmac as this emotional reunion between two people shaken by the same tragic news. But here's the problem. That's the version Andrew shared publicly, and it's the one that's been allowed to stand as the official story. Because when Candace Owens dug into the flight records and travel data, she came back saying that version doesn't even hold up physically. According to what Candace's investigation lays out, the flight logs show something very different. Charlie's plane reportedly flew from Scottsdale to Provo earlier that morning, while a separate flight went from Santa Barbara to Scottsdale before the assassination even happened. That completely flips the timeline on its head. And here's where it gets really intense. The so-called tarmac reunion that Andrew claimed happened in Provo. Candace argues the actual data places that moment in Scottsdale instead.
Yeah.
Erika is very shrewd. She's very smart. There's a great story. I can't really tell you who this was, but it was a very important person. And it happened within hours of the news. And the call goes in. She takes it because it was a very important person. And the question was to her, okay, so this is a starting point. Like, what do you know? And she was like, I know everything. And I was like, that's amazing.
Meaning, according to this version, Erika and Andrew were already together there and then flew to Provo on Charlie's own plane. That detail alone changes everything people thought they understood about that day. The location of that meeting isn't some small detail you can brush off. It changes the entire meaning of the situation. It's the difference between two people crossing paths after a tragedy and two people already moving in sync before anything even happened. And that's where this starts to shift from a simple timeline issue into something way more serious. Because now the focus isn't just on where people were, but what they knew and when. And they knew it. Here's the part that raises the biggest questions. If Andrew actually left Santa Barbara before Charlie Kirk was even shot, before the assassination happened, before any news broke, then what exactly was he reacting to? Then the explanation that Andrew flew out after learning about Charlie's death completely falls apart. It just doesn't work on a timeline level. If he was already in the air before the assassination even happened, then his claim that the trip was a reaction to the news can't be true. And that's where the situation turns serious. Because if Andrew was already heading toward Scottsdale before anything went public, then the question hits hard and doesn't go away. What did Andrew know? When did he know it? And why was he already on the move before anyone else even knew something had happened? It doesn't stop there either. Candace reportedly obtained police scanner audio that she says backs this up. Audio that places Erika and Andrew together at Scottsdale Airport on the day of the assassination. And according to her, that audio lines up with the flight data, not with the public version of events that's been told so far. So now you've got multiple layers stacking up. Conflicting travel stories, a timeline that doesn't add up, and scanner audio that seems to support a completely different version of events. That combination is exactly what Candace is using to suggest that Erika and Andrew may have had prior knowledge of what was coming. And that claim alone takes this into very dangerous territory. But then everything circles back to the affair allegations again. And this is where even more details start coming out. Because multiple former Turning Point insiders, people who were reportedly fired, are now speaking up and adding more pieces to the puzzle. These aren't random voices either. They're individuals who were inside the organization, who say they witnessed the internal dynamics firsthand, and claim they were pushed out after raising concerns about Erika's leadership and behavior. And according to their accounts, this wasn't just about one rumored relationship between Erika and Andrew. It points to something much deeper going on behind the scenes. But what's being described now goes way beyond just one alleged relationship. It points to a whole pattern of behavior that people are starting to question hard.
Erika Kirk, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks. It's surreal to actually be sitting because last time I was standing, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Just to sit. It's a little more emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you are rightly at the head of the table, and we're just so honored to have you here. I know that you have been, to say that your life has been a whirlwind would be the understatement of the century. And to make time for Charlie's audience and to speak to them, I know that they can't wait to hear from you, and just to see you in this room probably means a lot to them. And you've been up against so much, and you've been doing an incredible, incredible job.
Insiders claim Erika was allegedly mocking Charlie in private, laughing at how he looked, calling him naive, even saying he was soft. Things that people with direct access to those inner circles say they personally witnessed. If those accounts are true, then the image that was presented publicly starts to look completely different. Because it would mean the devotion Erika showed during the marriage wasn't just incomplete, it was the total opposite of what was really happening behind closed doors. And that contrast right there is what's making this situation feel so shocking to so many people. The behavior people have been picking apart in video footage starts to look completely different when you place it against this backdrop, and honestly, a lot darker. Take the footage from Charlie's studio just 2 weeks after his assassination, where Erika and Andrew appeared together on camera. At the time, some people thought it just felt a little off. But now, observers are pointing out how both of them looked unusually upbeat, even blushing, showing what some described as barely contained excitement. In a normal situation, that might just seem confusing or out of place during a period of grief. But with these allegations in the mix, that they may have been involved while Charlie was alive and possibly had prior knowledge of what was coming, that same footage starts to feel way more unsettling. Because now people are looking at it through a completely different lens. Watching two individuals who allegedly shared a private connection appear together so soon after the death of someone so central to both their lives and not appearing visibly devastated becomes something that's hard for many to explain away as coincidence. And when you add in Andrew's behavior in interviews and public appearances, it only adds more fuel to the questions people keep asking. Since Charlie's death, Andrew's behavior has been getting a lot of attention, and not in a subtle way. Multiple observers have independently pointed out that the way he talks about Erika doesn't come across like a typical professional relationship at all. Instead, people are noticing something more personal in his tone, his words, and the energy he brings when he's around her. It's not just what he says, it's how he says it, the level of focus he puts on her in shared public moments, and the kind of attention that feels way more intense than simple workplace respect. Those who've closely watched the footage keep describing the same thing. They say it comes off like someone whose feelings go beyond professional admiration or loyalty to an organization, and that's what's making people look twice at every interaction. And then there's the will, and this is where things take an even heavier turn. Because if the details being discussed are accurate, this could end up being the single most important piece of the entire story. And now there are reports circulating that take this story to another level. Claims are emerging that Charlie Kirk may have removed Erika from his will shortly before his death, and that the reason behind that decision was tied to something he discovered about her loyalty in the relationship. If that detail is accurate, it changes the entire timeline in a serious way. Because now you're looking at a situation where a husband may have uncovered something personal, possibly involving someone inside his own organization, and then started taking real protective steps, like updating his will. And when you line that up with what happened next, it starts to raise even more questions. A person making major legal changes after a personal discovery, and then being killed under circumstances that sparked immediate public scrutiny. That combination alone is enough to make people look much closer at everything surrounding those events. It gets even more intense when you consider the timing. If Erika was aware, or even likely to become aware, that she had been removed from the will before Charlie's death, then her actions in the aftermath start to be viewed very differently by some observers. Because now people are comparing two very different possibilities. On one side, you have a spouse grieving a loss while still believing they were part of their partner's future plans. On the other, you have a situation where someone may have realized they were no longer included in those plans, and then suddenly found themselves in a position of influence over the legacy and organization left behind. That contrast is exactly why this detail is being talked about so heavily right now, because for many watching, it seems to offer a possible explanation for decisions and behavior that otherwise didn't quite add up. Observers have been calling parts of this situation impossible to explain. And then the financial side comes into play, which takes things to a whole new level. Because now attention is turning to the life insurance angle. And this is where the numbers start raising serious eyebrows. Auditor Brian Rez reportedly dug into TPUSA's tax filings and uncovered an LLC called 𝗔𝗱𝗱𝗄 that was allegedly paying around $350,000 every single year in life insurance premiums tied to Charlie Kirk.
The Bible in a year, cover to cover. It's amazing. We've had over the Bible in a year, cover to cover. It's amazing. We've had over to cover.
I don't think I need to tell Erika that.
Yeah.
Erika is very shrewd. I don't think I need to tell Erika that.
Yeah.
Erika is very shrewd. Tell Erika that.
Yeah.
Erika is...
And here's why that stands out. Charlie was in his 30s with no known health issues, no smoking history, and no drinking history. So payments that high don't line up with a typical policy meant for basic estate planning. Financial experts who've looked at these figures are pointing out something important. Premiums at that level usually connect to a massive payout structure, not something small or routine. In fact, estimates suggest a policy like that could be tied to a death benefit somewhere in the range of $20 million to $50 million, and that kind of number changes how people are looking at everything surrounding this case. Now, the big question everyone keeps asking is simple. Who was the beneficiary of a policy that large? The obvious assumption points toward Erika, but the full details of who was actually listed haven't been made completely public. And then comes the detail that pushes this from serious to downright explosive. Reports say the LLC holding that policy, 𝗔𝗱𝗱𝗄, was dissolved on September 7th, 2025, just 3 days before Charlie Kirk was killed. Let that sink in for a second. A company set up specifically to manage a massive life insurance policy tied to Charlie suddenly shuts down just days before his death. That timing is what's making people stop and really question what was going on behind the scenes. Because here's the reality. LLCs that hold active insurance policies don't just get dissolved randomly for no reason. Moves like that usually come from a deliberate decision with a clear purpose behind it. So when you line up that decision, the shutdown of the LLC, with the timing of Charlie's death, it creates a pattern that financial experts say would immediately demand deeper investigation. It's the kind of detail that doesn't just get brushed aside, it becomes a central point that needs real answers, and it gets even more layered. Reports also claim that TPUSA sent $350,000 directly to that same LLC back in mid-2024, structured as part of what's described as a split-dollar life insurance arrangement. And that type of setup isn't simple either. A split-dollar structure usually involves shared benefits, shared obligations, and very specific agreements about who gets what and when, adding yet another layer of complexity to an already intense situation. In arrangements like this, the structure usually works in a very specific way. The organization gets reimbursed from the life insurance payout when the insured person dies, and whatever money is left after that flows directly to the personal beneficiary. That means what we're looking at here isn't some simple or routine policy setup. It's a layered financial structure involving an organization, a separate corporate entity, and an individual beneficiary, all tied together in a system that would have required careful legal planning and very deliberate decisions to put in place. And when you stack that on top of everything else being alleged, it starts to paint a picture that people are struggling to ignore. The rumored relationship, the unusual insurance structure, the timing of the LLC being dissolved, the reports about changes to the will, all of it combined is what's driving so much attention right now. But then there's one more piece that's pushing reactions even further. Reports indicate that Erika is now actively reaching out to Charlie's supporters through personally signed fundraising letters, asking for continued financial contributions. And for many observers, that detail hits differently. Because when placed alongside everything else that's being discussed, what's been built, what's been collected, and what's allegedly changed after Charlie's death, it becomes the final element that's making people question the full picture in a much more serious way. Observers have been piecing this together step by step, and when everything gets lined up, it starts to look a lot heavier than any single claim on its own. You've got the alleged relationship with Andrew, the flight timelines that don't seem to match the official version, the reports about changes to the will, and what Charlie may have. Discovered the LLC tied to a massive life insurance policy getting dissolved just days before his death, and the studio footage showing behavior that many people found unusual so soon after everything happened. Then add in claims about people inside Turning Point being pushed out after raising questions, along with continued fundraising efforts directed at Charlie's supporter base. And suddenly, all these separate pieces start forming a pattern that's hard for some to ignore. That's why voices like Candace Owens, along with other independent observers, are now asking much bigger questions. Not just about personal relationships, but about whether there's a deeper story behind everything that's been unfolding. Because when you stack financial details, travel timelines, insider accounts and public behavior side by side, it naturally leads people to challenge the official narrative and ask how well it holds up under increasing scrutiny. And right now, that's exactly where the pressure is building, as more and more attention is being drawn to the gaps people believe still need clear answers.